Welcome to week 2, day 2, the 5th grade Bengals. Let's get started with yesterday's exit ticket. 3,432 divided by 6. So I'm going to do my 6 times table. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54. How many 6s will go into 34? So the closest I can get to is 30. So, and that goes in 5 times. 5 times 6 equals 30. Subtract, you have 4 left over. Bring down your 3, you have 43. How many 6s will go into 43? Closest I can get to is 42. And there's 7 of them. So 7 times 6 equals 42. I have 1 left over when I subtract. I bring down my 2 from the ones place. How many 6s are going to go into 12? Well, exactly it goes into 12. 2 times. So 2 times 6 equals 12. I subtract 12 from 12 and I have nothing left over and nothing left to bring down, giving me the solution of 572. So today we're still sticking with division, but this time we are going to see and have a 4-digit problem where it's being divided by a 2-digit problem. So because we're doing that, I'm going to keep it kind of easier today, where it's multiples of 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Because then all you have to do is, for example, I have an 80, so I'm going to start off doing my 8 times tables. Okay? And find the multiples of 8. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72. Well, it's not 8, it's 80. So I'm going to turn these 8s into 80. By doing that, if I'm multiplying, how do I go from 8 to 80? I multiply by 10, right? If I have 8 times what gives me 80? Well, 8 times 10. Whatever I do on this side of the equation, of the equal sign, I have to do the same thing over here. So if I multiply the 8 by 10 to get 80, I need to now multiply all of these by 10. And the simple way of thinking this is like 8 times 10 obviously is going to be 80, like we previously mentioned. But the other way to look at this is if I shifted the 8 over one place value and made it 80, I have to shift my 8 here over one place value to make it 80. Okay? If I shifted one place value to make it 80 here, I have to shift this 16 over one place value to make it 160. Or I can look at it, if I place a 0 here, place a 0 here. That's the simpler, maybe easier way to understand it, but not the mathematical way. The mathematical way is all about the shifting. Okay? If I shifted, pretend there's a decimal right, because if you have the number 8, you have to pretend there's a decimal there, and then the 0. So if I shifted that decimal over one spot, it now becomes an 80. All right? How did I shift it? I multiplied it by 10. So that 16, I'm shifting the decimal over one place value to make it a 160. And I'm doing that with all these multiples. So you have 160, 240, 320, 400, 480, 560, 640, and 720. Now I'm asking myself, how many 80s? Well, can 80 go into 3? No. Can 80 go into 7? Or 37? No. Can 80 go into 376? It can, and it sounds really difficult to think about that. But let's take a look at what we've come up with so far. Well, we've come up with a number close to 376, which was 320. It took me 4 times to get there. So here is another big important piece. The 4 needs to go above the 6 of 376. And then I do 4 times 80 equals 320. I'll subtract to get 56. Now I'll bring down my 0 from the ones place to get 560. So another way to look at this is, let's pretend that's an 8. Let's pretend that's a 56. How many 8s go into 56? Or how many 80s go into 560? 7 of them. So 7 times 80 equals 560. You subtract to get nothing left over, giving you the answer of 47. And you can check yourself by doing 47 times 80. So let's move on to number 2. I'm going to keep number 1 visible for you to maybe help you go back to and view what the next step was in the process if you get stuck. So here we have 3,200 divided by 50. First thing I'm going to do is my 5 times tables. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Then I'm going to turn all these 5s into 50s. And I'm going to turn all of these multiples and multiply them by 10. 5 becomes 50. 10 becomes 100. 15 becomes 150. And so on. 200, 250, 300, 350, 400, 450. Now I'm going to let you take it over and see how many 50s go into 3,200. So hit the pause button now. So we have, hopefully you've taken the time to work it out. Maybe you got stuck, so you utilized your first problem here, the model, to help you unstick yourself. All right? 50 can't go into 32, but it can go into 320. The closest I can get to is 300. Well, it took me 6 times to get there. The 6 goes above the 0 from 320. 6 times 50 equaled that 300. Subtract, you get 20. Bring down the 0 from the ones place, and now you have 50 going to 200. How many times? 4 times. 4 times 50 equals 200. You subtract, you have nothing left over, giving you the answer of 64. $1,800 divided by 40. Well, I've done my 4 times tables, but I want to make them into 40 times tables. So I'm going to let you do that next step, and then divide 40 into 1,800. Go ahead and do that now. So by doing that, you should have gotten your multiples become multiples of 40. 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, 240, 280, 320, 360. 40 going into not 18, but 180. Closest I can get to is 160. Took me 4 times to get there. Make sure you put the 4 in the right spot, in the right place value, above the 0 of 180. You get 4 times 40 equals 160. You subtract to get 20. You bring down the 0 from the ones place. How many 40s go into 200? 5 of them. 5 times 40 equals 200, which equals 0. 45 times 40. To check yourself, should get 1,800. $5,040 divided by 70. So 7 times tables is what I've done so far. Turn those 7 times tables into 70 times tables, and then solve 5,040 divided by 70. Make sure you paused yourself to work through this problem. Hit the pause button now. So 70 goes into 5,040. Well, I want to see how it goes into 504. Can't go into 5, can't go into 50, so now I'm moving over to this place value. 10's place value, technically, for 504. 70 goes, the closest I can get to is 490. That's the closest. So 70 goes into 504 7 times, you get 490. You subtract to get 14. You did your subtraction right. You borrowed from the 5 or stole, brought it over to the 0, make it a 10. 10 minus 9 equals 1. 4 minus 0 equals 4. Now you bring down your 0. How many 70s go into 140? 2 of them. 2 times 70 equals 140. You subtract, and you get nothing left over, nothing to bring down, so it makes your answer 72. So, if you're getting stuck somewhere, slow, wherever that's being stuck is, maybe it's like here in the problem or here in the problem, and you're consistently getting stuck in the same spot, slow down, don't rush through it so much. Look back at what the next step was in the previous problem, and then see if you can come back to that problem and fix that mistake on your own. Especially when you get to the exit ticket. If you're getting stuck, it's maybe subtraction. Slow yourself down, check your subtraction before moving on to the next step. So think about your mistake, what it might be, before moving on to the next step, and then move along. So go ahead and do your exit ticket, which is 3,000. Oops, not 3,000. The exit ticket for today is 3,420 divided by 60. Go ahead, solve that in your packet, submit it in the Google form, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.